It was the roar of the fire that I'd never heard anything like that in my life.
Fire coming down the hill, so we're leaving.
Thousands in the region woke up in the middle of the night to find ominous scenes.
Fires are burning out of control all over California, including around a dozen of 1,000 acres or more.
Enormous clouds of smoke mounted into the sky, worsening air quality across the region. The Northern California blazes began with thousands of lightning strikes spawned by unusual dry thunderstorms, hitting on one of the hottest nights of the year.
A rare sight across the skies of the Bay Area, photos and videos flooding into the newsroom all day.
We begin with some breaking news. A series of earthquakes rocking Baja California this morning, the strongest, a magnitude 5.1.
People across San Diego County felt the impact of them. The 5.1 magnitude quakes hit around 8:30 this morning, about 40 miles from San Diego.
And we don't always see them coming this quickly in bursts where you're seeing them at different magnitudes. Is there something unusual about this, or is this more the norm?
It's a 5.1 magnitude earthquake, and yet we're having aftershocks here, 4.5, 4.4, 4.3. In other words, almost the same size. That's why I'm suspecting that we're triggering other nearby faults into action as well. So we're sort of having a regional movement distributed on more than one fault.
A magnitude 6.5 earthquake has struck the central Philippines, killing one person and injuring dozens more. A family in Masbate province were left trapped when their house collapsed. There's no threat of a tsunami, but authorities are warning people to prepare for aftershocks. Well, Jamela Anadolian is joining me live from Manila. This is coming at a particularly bad time, isn't it? Because the country is already going through an economic downturn.
They have also raised the alert of around 4 volcanoes in many parts of the southern Luzon and central Luzon region, looking at the activity of these volcanoes. It remains to be seen whether these have direct relations to the earthquake that happened a few hours ago.
It's only the start of fire season in the Amazon, but it's already the worst in a decade. Brazil's National Institute for Space Research is reporting a total of 6,300 blazes in July, 28% more than for the same period in 2019.
Rumblings in one of the hottest places on the planet. Today, a 4.8 magnitude earthquake struck Death Valley National Park. It happened right around 10:30 this morning. Now, there are no reports of damage to park buildings or roads. The quake, though, follows a week of record heat there. It was 130 degrees on Sunday.
High winds are fanning the flames. A resident of Lassen County caught video of this rare funnel-shaped fire tornado whirling across burning grasslands. California and much of the southwestern United States are in the grip of a brutal heat wave following months of extremely dry weather.
A blistering heat wave, intense lightning storms, and now far too many wildfires, all of it taxing overwhelmed firefighters and residents.
As fires are scorching California, veteran firefighters say they've never seen such extreme conditions. In recent years, the winds...
This fire is made to run. You can see those flames behind me. The embers are burning.
We've been through a lot of fires in this area. Nothing like this.
It was like the entire wall of the forest was just coming at us down the road.
Families racing to escape flames pushed by heat and wind.
Up and down the street, there's quite a few homes and structures that are burning right now.
Near Vacaville, a city of 100,000 northeast of San Francisco, multiple fires are tearing through communities. More than 46,000 acres scorched.
I mean, think about it. You actually have a whirling column of air with wind speeds possibly exceeding 60, 70, 80, maybe even 100 miles per hour on fire.
The firenado warning came in the afternoon, not seen in California since 2018, when the strongest tornado in state history emerged out of the Carr Fire. An EF3 with over 136 mile-per-hour winds. The size of the latest firenado is unclear.
Officials say Thursday that multiple wildfires have now burned into each other, creating massive spans of flames called complexes.
Overnight, another onslaught from an ever-expanding inferno.
A full-fledged air attack in a desperate race to save homes and lives. As flames rip across hillsides, highways have become treacherous escape routes.
Worst fire I've ever been through. We've been through a lot of fires.
Many of the fires exploding with no warning, leaving residents little time to escape.
The sky, which I've never seen before, was totally glowing red all around.
We are experiencing fires, the likes of which we haven't seen in many, many years.
Fires are raging over a 100-mile stretch from Napa's wine country to the Santa Cruz Mountains, the San Francisco Bay Area smothered by some of the worst air quality on the planet.
Many of the fires were sparked by an unprecedented amount of lightning earlier this week. Nearly 11,000 lightning strikes were reported in a span of just 72 hours. The extraordinary conditions were triggered by severe thunderstorms, coupled with hot desert air from Arizona and Nevada and moisture from a tropical storm off the coast of Mexico.
Well, we've seen a lot of wild weather this weekend, but take a look at this video shared with us on Twitter. There's a phenomenon ultra rare known as ball lightning. Can't really say if that's an example, but scientists can't really explain the phenomenon either, other than the fact that it looks like a ball of lightning exploding. Kind of looks like that, and sometimes leaves behind a sulfur smell. So incredible video shared with us tonight, and very cool we get to share it with you as well.
Now look at that.
California health officials reporting the state's first case of plague in 5 years. El Dorado County officials say the patient is a local resident who was likely bitten by an infected flea while walking a dog near South Lake Tahoe. California's last plague case was in 2015 when a child contracted it while camping at Yellowstone National Park. The state's last reported case before that was in 2006.
Who would have thought that 2020 would be like this? It's just insane. So just hug your family, tell people you love them, and stay safe.
Now to the breaking news out of California, where firefighters are battling.
While hundreds of fires burn across the West tonight, there is great concern that between the extreme heat and the pandemic.
In California this morning, the Bay Area is partly surrounded by a series of major wildfires, threatening thousands of homes and blanketing the region with dangerous smoke.
This morning, a South Florida town is breathing a sigh of relief after a scary tornado touched down. A waterspout forms out in the water only to land near Golden Beach.
You want to look home, come here. Tornado time, baby. Right out our window.
A viewer stayed relatively calm while watching this outside his window. Cell phone video shows a waterspout off the coast of Golden Beach near Aventura.
It pretty much looked like the sky was all black and it was dark.
Chopper 4 was overhead after to see some of the minor damage left behind, like outside furniture being tossed into the ocean. The town of Golden Beach sent us pictures of downed trees.
While swarms of locusts have been spreading in the Middle East and India in the past couple of weeks, destroying crops, a different breed has appeared in southern regions of China. China's state-run CCTV reported that swarms of locusts appeared in southern Yunnan province, damaging 103 square kilometers in 4 prefectures. The report also said the locust first appeared in late June, but is a different species from the desert locust that's been sweeping the Middle East, Pakistan, and India.
Now, Kenya has been hit by a second wave of locusts after billions of these tiny insects swarmed across the nation earlier in the year. In the Turkana County, swarms of locusts have caused large-scale damage to standing crops, leading to farmers in a state of despair about their near future.
Desert locusts swarming the Turkana County have been on a rampage in what experts are calling the worst invasion the country has seen in 70 years.
Theorie bezüglich der Entstehung unseres Sonnensystems. Die Harvard University, und vielleicht kennt ihr den Avi Loeb, ja, der unter anderem auch die Theorie mit Oumuamua aufgestellt hat, dass es sich hierbei tatsächlich um ein Sonnensegel handeln könnte. Der hat eine neue Theorie entwickelt bezüglich der Entstehung unseres Sonnensystems, und zwar war unser Sonnensystem am Anfang vielleicht ein Doppelsternsystem.
Das heißt also, 2 Sterne haben sich gleichzeitig gebildet, ungefähr gleiche Masse. Das heißt also eine völlig andere Anordnung, so wie man das normalerweise annehmen könnte, dass es sich bei unserem Stern tatsächlich um einen Einzelstern handelt. Nein, es könnte ein Doppelsternsystem gewesen sein, und die Erklärung mehr oder weniger für Planet 9 wird durch diese Theorie gleich mitgeliefert. Denn Planet 9 stammt nämlich nicht aus unserem Sonnensystem, sondern der Schwesterstern hat uns den geborgt, sozusagen. Wo sich der Schwesterstern momentan befindet, ist ein bisschen problematisch herauszufinden, denn die Sterne, die sich mit uns zusammen entwickelt haben, sind in der ganzen Galaxie verteilt. Das sind Zeiträume, die man jetzt sehr schlecht zurückrechnen kann. Die andere Theorie bezüglich dessen, warum haben wir unseren Schwesterstern verloren, das kann damit zusammenhängen, dass ein anderer, größerer Stern, der sich auch in der Nähe gebildet hat, tatsächlich durch seine Gravitation unseren Schwesterstern, ja, mehr oder weniger auch ausgeborgt hat, sozusagen. Das ist allerdings schwierig nachzuvollziehen, aber bezüglich der Umlaufbahnen in unserem Sonnensystem könnte das tatsächlich sogar Sinn ergeben. Wenn wir die Simulation mal starten, dann sehen wir, was als erstes passiert, wenn dieser Schwesterstern relativ nah an uns dran ist. Planet 9 springt auf unsere Sonne über uns. Wenn das dementsprechend dann relativ nah zusammenkommt, dann kann es sein, dass Objekte tatsächlich aus den verschiedenen Systemen hin und her springen, was die Gravitationsbindung angeht. Hier habe ich mal ein binäres System gebaut, das heißt also unser Sternensystem, so wie es heutzutage existiert. Man muss natürlich voraussetzen, dass es sich hierbei bei der Entwicklung des Gesamtsystems um einen Vorgang handelt, als unsere Planeten sich gerade in der Entstehung befinden. Was mit den Umlaufbahnen einzelner Objekte passiert, die sich zum Beispiel dann dementsprechend dem einen Stern oder dem anderen Stern annähern. Dieser Austausch an Materie zwischen den beiden Sternensystemen hat vermutlich über einen sehr langen Zeitraum stattgefunden. Das heißt, die Umlaufbahnen, die heutzutage unter anderem existieren, zum Beispiel auch vom Planet 9, könnten ihren Ursprung tatsächlich in einem Doppelsternsystem haben. Das heißt, dass sich diese Objekte dann dementsprechend verteilt haben in unserem Sternensystem, aber auch in dem Schwestersternensystem. Jetzt herauszufinden, wo sich dieser Stern befindet, wie anfänglich auch angedeutet, das ist nahezu unmöglich, denn zumindest mit der heutigen Technik nicht. Ja, also wenn man mal eine ganze Galaxie, jedes einzelne Atom berechnen kann, dann wird es wohl so sein, dass man rausfindet, wo sich diese Objekte befinden. Aber in der Anfangszeit unseres Sternensystems und dann auch in der weiteren Entwicklung ist es tatsächlich so, dass sich Sterne extrem weit voneinander entfernt haben. Momentan beginnt man gerade mit dem Feststellen, wo sind denn diese Sterne, die sich anfänglich mit unserer Sonne entwickelt haben. Wie kann das passieren, dass Objekte hinausgeschossen werden aus einem Sternensystem? Hier haben wir tatsächlich den Fall, dass ein ganzer Planet rausgeschossen wurde. Was haben wir für eine Geschwindigkeit? Ich will es gar nicht wissen. Oh, 55,4 Kilometer pro Sekunde. Ja, das passt. Also das ist tatsächlich eine Fluchtgeschwindigkeit, die ein Planet braucht, um unser Sternensystem dann auch zu verlassen. Und diese Wechselwirkung zwischen 2 Sternen kann das auch begünstigen, sowas. Indem sich die Umlaufbahnen so ändern, dass ein Planet zum Beispiel, wie jetzt in dem Fall Planet 9, direkt oder fast direkt auf den Stern zusteuert und dann dementsprechend eine solche Umlaufbahn um den Stern hat, dass er sich dann dementsprechend wegbewegt.
Scientists are now saying they think there was another sun just like ours, but it vanished. Read all about it, BGR.com. Let me share with you a quick excerpt. Researchers have theorized that our sun once had a binary companion or another star that was roughly the same size as itself. The binary pair may have been responsible for drawing in the wealth of material that became the planets and other objects that now orbit the sun. This theory also potentially explains how the mythical Planet 9 was drawn into our solar system, though it's yet to be proven. Although there is controversy now, the astronomers at another facility, I don't remember what location this was, said that it could be a grapefruit-sized black hole. So it went from about the size of Saturn to now a grapefruit, which means they have no clue. They're just throwing out ideas. Now, with that being said, I do feel that there is a very good chance that our solar system, based upon the mythology and the history that our ancestors teach us, there was definitely a binary star in our solar system. It could have been a completely separate solar system that merged, and now we have the solar system. With that being said, I think that the ringmakers of Saturn, if you have the opportunity to get this online or get a physical copy, great, you definitely want to read this. I think there's some connection there. I think that Saturn is somehow being harnessed for its energy, and I think the rings of Saturn could be some type of Dyson sphere. That is one of my latest theories, and this is a live-action role-playing game, and this is for entertainment purposes only. And we're going to add some science and some mythology to the mix. And before we get into that, though, I just want to say, hello! Thank you, TradeLikeAGenius.com. I get these trade alerts via email and via text messages, and the trades that I've been making have been smoking hot. I want to show this to you real quick. So first, I'm going to do a screen share of the article here. You can see scientists think there was another sun just like ours, but it vanished. That's BGR. Pick up your copy of Ringmakers of Saturn, or you can probably find it online, get a PDF version. You can read it that way as well. This is what I wanted to show you. Now, this is from CoinMarketCap.com. This is showing you the top 100 cryptocurrencies by market capitalization. And you can see the top 5, they're doing okay. I mean, over the past 24 hours, they're doing pretty good. If you scroll down a little bit further, Tezos is up 8% over the past 24 hours. But here's the one that I want to show you. So I got this trade alert the other day, and then I got into some Oxcoin. Look at this, Oxcoin. Oxcoin over the past 24 hours has gone up over 48%. Thank you, TradeLikeAGenius.com. That's what I'm talking about. Check them out, TradeLikeAGenius.com. Trade smarter. You guys are great, so TradeLikeAGenius.com. All right, Bob, personal friend of mine. He's also a regular on Meat Project. He's very knowledgeable. He eats, drinks, sleeps, works out, trading cryptos, trading the markets, gold, silver, miners, stocks. There's all sorts of opportunities right now. And especially with more people having more time at home, this is your chance. So I also want to talk about Shamash. Okay, so let's get into some mythology now. Shamash. Shamash is the Sumerian sun god. Shamash is the Sumerian sun god. And some scholars have actually compared Shamash to Utu. And I don't believe they're one and of the same. Now, I'm going to tell you why. I think Shamash is connected with Saturn, and I think Utu is connected with the sun in our solar system now. Shamash in Akkadian, Sumerian Utu. No, that's when things changed. That's when these battles in the heavens took place, and our ancestors were writing this down as the fighting of the gods, the thunderbolts of the gods, etc. And there's this transition. Something stopped Saturn being a full star. And a lot of people are questioning where this star is, if it's Nibiru, possibly, if it has a 3,600-year orbit. Well, with all of the information that we've been given from our ancestors, I would think that our telescopes could pick up, maybe not the one in my garage, but some of these high-end telescopes that are tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars could pick up the location of that star. Now, if it's a binary star and it's a dark star, then it's going to have a different visual effect. If it's Saturn, that makes a lot of sense when you look at this mythology. So Shamash was the son of Sin. Sin is the moon in ancient mythology. Inanna is connected with Venus, and there was a very good chance Venus, Mars, Earth, and Saturn were all connected together as a solar system unit in harmony together. Venus, Lucifer, Inanna takes off, and you can read about that, Inanna's descent to the netherworld. Something happens to Shamash, and then the new sun god, Utu, appears in the heavens. Now, with all of this information about, let's look at Utu for a second. So, Utu, later worship by the East Semitic Akkadian-speaking Assyrians and Babylonians as Shamash was the ancient Mesopotamian sun god. There was a transfer, there was a change there. These scholars, in my opinion, are missing a huge piece of the puzzle here. And Saturn is the worship of, many people worship on Saturday, which is governed by Saturn, or Friday and Saturday. Friday is governed by Venus, Saturday is governed by Saturn. Shema, isn't Shema a part of a Jewish prayer as well? The word Shema, which is also a part of the box that's put on the forehead in worship. Shema and Shamash are very similar. Saturn day. And then the new Jesus, or the new Zeus, Jesus, the new king of the gods, the sun in the heavens. These stories and these mythologies, in my opinion, have been put together to have cryptic knowledge hidden for the scholars and those that are initiated to know about these ancient mysteries. Now, even here it talks about the Inanna's descent to the netherworld. And I connected Inanna's descent to the netherworld that happened approximately 28,500 years ago, because we were looking at the Sumerian king list, and we were dating the king list and the timelines to approximately 28,500 years ago. So that might have been when this transition, when this huge change took place. From Saturn being a bright star, and people lived longer because there wasn't as much extreme radiation, the DNA was different. And then this transition, this great flood, the moon is located where it is, connected with the 28-day cycles of fertility and the tides and the carbon atoms and the rings of Saturn could have this frequency effect on our resonance, on our bodies, on our reincarnation. The star, the sun, could be some type of portal, and I think this is all connected with Birkeland currents and electricity, a positive and a negative. But Shamash goes back before Utu. And that makes sense to me, that you've got so many synchronicities with Shamash, Shema, Saturn, Saturday. The Jewish religion and belief system worshiping on Saturday and Friday, from what I have been told, by a friend of mine of Jewish descent, Paul Cottrell. Now let's read about the mythology real quick. The Sumerians believed that as he rode through heaven, Utu saw everything that happened in the world, alongside his sister Inanna. Utu was the enforcer of divine justice. At night, Utu was believed to travel through the underworld as he journeyed to the east in preparation for sunrise, as the sun sets in the east. One Sumerian literary work refers to Utu illuminating the underworld and dispensing judgment there. And Shamash 1031 states that Utu serves as a judge of the dead in the underworld alongside the Malku, Kusu, and the Anunnaki. On his way through the underworld, Utu is believed to pass through the garden of the sun god, which contained trees that bore precious gems as fruit. Now let's go back and see if we can find, here's somewhat of a, here's Utu, Dumazid, Inanna, Ningal, Anunnaki, Uranus. Uranus is the original star, is the original deity with many religions, is the father of the Anunnaki, the father of the planets, the father of the stars. Uranus also has rings that are very bizarre, and it's been tilted on its side, which makes me believe something of catastrophic nature happened, something of biblical nature or scripture status caused Uranus to move up on its side. Shamash, now Utu, Saturn having these rings that seem to harness the energy, kind of like what people have suspected with the Dyson sphere. Now, Norman Bergen was with NASA for years, like decades, I think. And when he wrote this book, he stayed with NASA for years after. And this book describes how these rings of Saturn have been observed to change in thickness. And it shows these images of what looks like giant ships, possibly, like huge ships. Iapetus looks like the Death Star. It does not look like a moon to me. I mean, it looks like something that was manufactured. And it's got a 10-mile high, 10-mile wide ridge that goes around the entire circumference. It's got that same spot above the ridge. It's a giant hexagon that looks identical to the Death Star, except it's not a circle, it's a hexagon. So I guess it's not identical, but it's close. And it's even got the same, what looks like a blast site, that if you remember Return of the Jedi, they're rebuilding the Death Star, and it's got that same blast site, same location on Iapetus. Now there's been remote viewing done on Iapetus, and they said that it was a resort. I'm not buying that. I think that was more of a strategic location, and it possibly still could be a strategic location for very intelligent space travelers. And they would be most likely a Type 1 civilization because they can harness the energy of stars. Now, a Type 2 civilization would be able to harness the entire solar system, correct? The energy of the solar system. So, maybe Type 2. But that would explain how this thing vanished, unless it's got this orbit, like Zechariah 6 is talking about, 3,600 years, because that could explain many of these anomalies, like Uranus being on its side, Tiamat, the destruction of Tiamat. But the more I think about Tiamat, I almost wonder, was Tiamat even a planet, or was it more of a primordial force? So that could have been far more than just a planet. But if you look at the asteroid belt, and you look at the huge cratering and canyon on Mars, as well as the canyons here on Earth, that could have been from a planetary flyby that had an electrical discharge. It was like releasing these lightning plasma bolts of massive proportions, or that could have been from the sun, or when this event took place. Now, if we go into the possibility of this Type 1 civilization figuring out a way to harness the star by putting these rings around it, when doing so, that caused the currents to change and affected the entire solar system, and by doing that, it pushes Venus out of orbit. Venus takes off. Venus is launching all these plasma bolts, kind of like Medusa. And then they create these rings. First they do it to Uranus, then they do it to Saturn. And it's even more extreme with Saturn. Or we have an event where there's this star that somehow gets ejected from our solar system. And when this star gets ejected from our solar system, it changes the orbits of Venus. Read Anonymous Descent to the Netherworld. It changes the orbit of Saturn. It affects Saturn to the point of where the substance of the star, because of the currents, go around Saturn, and then it just takes off, and it's still going. And it's way out there. And it's a dark star, so we don't see it. Or somehow, I'm envisioning, is there an intelligence, though? What did it? Was it like a supernova? So this powerful group of travelers, star travelers, harness the energy. They put these rings around it, and the effect is so abundant when they start to do it. It's like this current, this energy, because they're trying to capture it, it just launches out. And so it pushes Venus out. They finish the rings. That also pushes, like Uranus, they've already captured and they've already harnessed Uranus. And then this energy somehow blasts with Saturn when they put the rings around Saturn and they change the Birkeland current. It pushes this energy out, knocking Uranus on its side, tilting Uranus on its side, ejecting Venus. Venus gets ejected, Venus takes off, and that changes the order of things. And now they stay in the rings of Saturn because that's their energy. That's their power point. That's their nexus. That is their hub. That is their metropolis. And they're not only harnessing the energy from the star of Saturn and Uranus and the current itself, they are manipulating the current, but they're also resonating these rings. The energy of these frequencies are aligning with these rings and shooting out through the solar system, bouncing off of the moon, reflecting off of the moon, and hitting us, hitting the entire planet, encompassing the planet. And it's a frequency layer that's actually capturing people's souls and reincarnating their souls and keeping them in the solar system while they can travel to different locations. They're harnessing our energies to not only feed their empires. It's like DNA, studying, examining, building. We are still building empires for them. Even though they're so advanced technologically, this is just another way. They want to keep us suppressed so that they can roam the stars and the planets and the solar systems and the galaxies unhinged, because they know the power that we have and the power that we hold. And so they're keeping us suppressed as much as possible. And some of us get out of this. Some of us will fly out and will be far more advanced than what we can even comprehend right now. Where Type 2, Type 3 civilizations that use technologies, we are doing that with light, with consciousness, with the divine spirit, with the divine creator, the spark that is given to us, that we share with the divine. And so that's why there is worship of planets and stars and so much worship around Saturn, and it's been possible. I mean, I feel like it's been jacked. I feel like something's taken over that energy vortex and they're using it. And some people might look at it or label it as, you know, dark or demonic or evil. They don't look at it that way. It's like you walking into the forest and there's insects underneath your feet that you don't see, and even if you do and you try and you're like, wait a second, I can't really walk around them, so I'm going to have to step on that part. Kind of like that to them. They're harnessing what they can. And they know, though, that's another thing, is I feel that they know that if we reached our full potential, especially as a society, as billions of people reaching their highest potential, that they wouldn't be able to control us. And that some of us might be upset about the things that have taken place throughout these eons of control. And I think that they're nervous about people breaking out of this and then realizing their full potential and who their captors are. And that's very reptilian mindset. It's survival. It's primordial. You share existence with entities that you don't fully understand, you can't comprehend, and you still see the potential of their greatness and abilities to be far superior in many ways, and just not understanding that, they feel like they need to control it. So, that being said, it's the vibration, right? Everything's a vibration, a frequency. So if we can raise our vibration, if we can raise our frequency, then we're more difficult to control and more readily available to manifest our own desires and break the boundaries of our limitations and be supercharged magnets into the universe and manifest what we desire, what we think. We become what we think. So be careful what you think, you just might get it. And remember to be the change you want to see.